So we're going to start with an energy reading and talk about the astrology for the year. So this is in Chinese zodiac, the year of the snake, which is us shedding something. Whenever we let something go, it comes with grief. Even if we are letting go of something good, there is a grieving process to it. So even if we know something is for our highest good and we're entering something new and we're excited about something new, there's usually grief that comes with that as well. I guess the Buddha would call this the idea that life is suffering. No matter if something good happens, there's usually a bit of suffering that comes with it. When we are grieving, it is great to have community in our grief. And the other thing that she said was that there's good that comes from community, but also there's wisdom that comes from solitude. So there is this balance going on. All right. So before I get into the astrology, yeah, it's a big year. Like the planets that move slower, those planets are shifting signs. So there's a lot of big things coming, and I made notes on it. I did use a bit of AI to get all the info for the year, so I had to go in and correct some. So hopefully it's all correct. But if I made any mistakes, I'm sure an astrologer that you follow will get it right sometime throughout the year. But we'll try and go through it. So I think either today or tomorrow we have the nodes shifting. So the nodes have been in Aries and Libra, which has impacted all of us because if we have any Cancer in our chart, any Libra in our chart, any Aries in our chart, or Capricorn in our chart, it's going to impact us either in an opposition, hitting that, or a square. So that comes with some discomfort. It's not the end yet because there's one more eclipse, actually, I think. I want to say it's going to be the end of March, or Aries season should have the last eclipse in those signs. But before that, we'll start the eclipses in the Pisces Virgo axis. Okay, so those are the nodes shifting. That's something huge happening, especially because we've had so many lessons from the Aries and Libra nodes. And then with that, we'll have eclipses. So we have March. The end of March will be the solar eclipse in Pisces. And then in September, you'll have Virgo season, you'll have the Pisces and Virgo eclipses as well. So there should be either 3 or 4 eclipses, if not one more in Aries and Libra. Okay, and then we have outer planet transits. So we have Neptune leaving Pisces and moving into Aries. So again, for the Aries people in the house, Neptune in Pisces is beautiful energy because this is our dream world. This is where Neptune and Pisces, well, Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is really about like that dreamy illusionist energy. So the illusions are now moving out of its home sign and into this passionate fire sign. So what I take that as is like we might be thinking more about ourselves and our passions and where we can really dream of those things. If it retrogrades this year, we're going to have that pullback of like, oh, let's think so grand about our passions. And then when we have that pullback of the retrograde in Neptune, it's okay, but is this realistic for our lives? Because Neptune in any sign is where we have those rose-colored glasses. And then when it retrogrades is when we take those off and see things as it is. So I actually like when Neptune retrogrades because I'm like, okay, this is without the illusions or almost delusions of life. Uranus is in Taurus currently, and that should retrograde towards the end of the year as well. It looks like the end of the year will be a big retrograde time, which is always so fun. And then we have Saturn moving as well. So this is super exciting stuff for me. Saturn is also in Pisces. So we have the Neptune, the dreams in Pisces, but then we also have Saturn of responsibility in Pisces right now. And it's going to be moving into Aries. So if you know anyone with an Aries Saturn, it's going to be hitting it again. Pisces is also that spiritual growth energy, and it's like bringing more discipline to our spirituality. When it moves into Aries, we're stepping into like it's very new energy to step from Pisces to Aries because Pisces is the end of the zodiac and we're stepping into that new zodiacal energy of focusing back on like less spiritual stuff, more just coming back to the self, really. Okay, and then Jupiter is also going to be moving. So Jupiter in Gemini brings a lot of thoughts, I would say. So, like, we had an abundance of ideas, maybe that flowed through, or maybe this was a time when you were more scatterbrained. I often find that with Gemini energy. And we will be having it move into Cancer this year. So, that is more of the energy of like emotional growth, home, and nurturing those like relationships that do feel like home. We will have a Venus retrograde this year. So Mars retrograde should be ending. Mars retrograde should be ending in March, I want to say, or just before then. So we have a Venus retrograde instead. So that will be a time where we'll have more lessons come back on the area of love, romance, and beauty as well. So if you if you are thinking about any major transformations to the way you look, Venus retrograde is probably not the time. And if it is the time and you make that decision, it's probably not something that might stick at that time. So it's like you could do something like dye your hair a wild color and then a few months later be like, why did I do that? Let me go right back. I have it as March 1st to April 12th. I'm hoping that's correct. So it is a big year that's going to be hitting everyone differently throughout the year, but there are going to be major like endings of lessons into new lessons. So that can mean a lot of different things for different people. Okay, that's energy reading. I'm going to pull cards. I want to give a disclaimer that no matter what you feel about the astrology coming up, it cannot be worse than my astrology for the year. I have Saturn return ending as soon as Venus goes retrograde and Chiron sitting in my seventh house. So it's going to be a very wound-filled year. All right, so I'm going to pull a word or, ooh, okay, we'll take that. Let's see if there's anything else. I don't know, looking at the astrology for everyone and the first two cards that came out, I feel like it's going to be like a really like good year for you guys. So the first one was joy. And the second one was love. So we always say that the first cards out in a reading are the strongest energies. Well, let's see if the deck wants to give us a card. Okay, I'll take that. Ah, isn't that funny? Okay, exactly what I thought, what I said at first, which is interesting. Community. And I guess this is also why joy and love came for you guys. It makes a lot of sense. So, community support is all around you, even if you are not consciously aware of it. Allow yourself to be supported. Give encouragement to others. The more you allow yourself to be supported, the more your dreams can come true. If you believe that you have to do it all alone, you will. Your true family is not just blood relationships. Sometimes the strongest family ties are friends who know who you are. Sometimes they are your ancestors and soul family who reside in spirit. This card speaks of finding your community and your people. It is a card of remembering that your people are at your side, believing in you, loving you, and standing strong beside you. Call on your community and ask for their assistance. They are only a thought away. So that feels like it's tied to that love card. There is like an abundance of love, and it's not necessarily romantic love. It's more like universal love. And then I'm going to pull a self-care card for just a practice that you're being guided to lean on, or at least remember that it's there to support you. Okay. and it is journal. So we have May You Know Joy and Love, and that is part of community. And then to balance out that community, you have the solitude practice of journaling. We are going to start with the words. Actually, I should have started with this at first. So there are 6 words on that page. And I'll go into like why those words kind of made sense and flowed in the way they did. But just to start, they are forgiveness, faith, foundation, flow, freedom, fantasy. The reason I chose forgiveness for this instead of like reflecting on the past year or like tuning in is because some things may have happened in the past year. And I could have easily called this compassion. When we reflect, there can be certain things that come up over what we did do or didn't do that require some forgiveness on our part towards ourselves. So I wrote here, let go of the past year by releasing the guilt or shame held around what has happened. Not necessarily was there guilt and shame around what has happened, but it's a reminder if there was. Reflecting on the glimmers from 2024. So we are going to not only remember that there could be things that didn't go right, but that we can find glimmers or pieces of gratitude from the past year.
Finishing with my little thank you. I'm really grateful for you guys being here. I hope you feel renewed to embrace your journey with grace and inspired yet imperfect action. Show yourself compassion with each step of the way as you align with your deeper purposes and passions in 2025 and beyond. And remember these words almost like a process for the year ahead. Forgive, have faith, build foundation, flow freely, and lastly, step into the fantasy life has to offer. So that was the secret point at the end is fantasy. It's like we forgive ourselves for whatever 2023 brought, or sorry, 2024 brought us. I'm like a year behind, but also 2023. We forgive ourselves. We're building our faith in our vision and what we want for our lives and the core parts of our life. And then we're building those foundational goals that really set us up for what we are aligning with. We're flowing. Of course, we flow. We're sensitive people. We're deep feeler people. We have to flow. But the fantasy part is really the secret sauce. I feel we are getting closer and closer to that dream vision. And as we get closer and closer, like the ability to fantasize about our lives is gonna expand, right? So I want you to remember that like a process for this year because there will be times where we'll have to move back in the process, but we're really looping through those things. We're forgiving ourselves, we're having faith, we're building those foundations, we're flowing, and we're fantasizing about our lives. Yeah. Sending you so much love.